He's in the best shape of his life, looking fast. Everybody's seen the clips of him working out independently with his running back coach, his cuts, just how explosive he is. Excited to have a full year with him again and getting him healthy throughout the entire season. Louis Riddick back here with us for this. And Zeke, he's looking good to his quarterback. But like I mentioned, Zeke is coming off his worst season statistically. So, Monica, is Zeke past his prime?
I don't think Zeke is past his prime, you guys. And part of the reason why has to do with the 27th ranked offensive line that he had to work with last year. The other part of that reason had to do with the guy who we just saw talking about Zeke so positively in terms of Dak Prescott not being on the field. An improved line, Dak returning, and I just think Zeke is one of those specimen-type athletes that has a great body for the game and knows the game. I think Zeke is poised to bounce back. 2016 and 2018, when he was terrific and had Pro Bowl years, it is kind of long ago, but I think coming off of such a rough year, there's a different level of gratitude with which he will play, and the tools around him have improved. I think he's poised for a comeback year.
I'm going to say he's close. I'm going to say in another 2 years, then we'll start to see Ezekiel Elliott get to that cliff, because it'll be his 7th season in the National Football League. And more than ever before, that running back position continues to be devalued. And Monica, you're exactly right. And Dak Prescott's right. He's a physical specimen. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But that position in the National Football League, he has had at least 4 seasons of carrying the ball at least 300 times. And last year, he carried the ball over 300 times. His yards per carry continues to be above 4, and that's what you want. But now this really is back Dak Prescott's team. They're going to be more of a passing offense than ever before, if you can believe that, based on the first 5 games we saw with Dak Prescott before he got injured last year. So I think Ezekiel Elliott is not at his prime yet. But in another 2 years, he's going to be close to that prime, past his prime a little bit. And then I wonder what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do, because then they got to pay those receipts on that contract, and he's going to be looking for another contract when that contract gets to the end. And I don't see him being a Dallas Cowboy after that, because it's going to clearly be Dak Prescott's team. And I think we're going to see Ezekiel Elliott be on the downside of his career in another 2 years.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't doubt that he'll start to turn, in the next 2 to 3 years. I mean, most players do at this position. I mean, you stand down on the field at field level in an NFL game and look at the type of punishment that running backs take. It's amazing that they can play 3-4 years. It's amazing that they can finish their first contract. I remember talking to Kyle Shanahan this year for Monday Night Football, and he said, look, obviously football's a hard game, but, you have to be wired a little bit different to play running back in the NFL. You just do. And as someone who was a defender during my time in the NFL, whose sole job was to put as much pain on running backs as possible, I'm amazed that those guys can do what they do. Now, that being said, Zeke's only 25. He'll be 26, later, in the latter part of July. And a lot of running back success is predicated on, Monica, some of the things that you mentioned, namely the success in the efficiency and the ability of the offensive line in front of them. And running backs, I don't care how talented you are, unless you're Gale Sayers, and we're not really, or Barry Sanders, they're not really confusing Ezekiel Elliott with either of those two. You're not going to have a whole lot of success if your offensive line is as deficient and is as poor in terms of their relative performance as Dallas's was last year. You're just not going to succeed. He will be better this year. There is something to be said for people who are motivated and who are ticked off when people are doubting them at 25 years old and saying that you're trying to turn it over the hill. I mean, players kind of get tired of that. Training regimens are much different now than they were 10, 15 years ago. Guys play much longer. I think Ezekiel will fall into that category. And I think Dallas's offense, Freddie, as you're saying, is going to be a little bit different this year. It won't be maybe as run-heavy as it was in the past. They will showcase Dak, provided that he is still healthy. And this offense will be back to, hopefully, what it was in the past, if the offensive line can stay healthy and those guys can stay on the field.
So, Louis, you mentioned 2 things that I wanted to actually ask you, because I thought of a guy like Frank Gore, and not that he is at the peak of his career in terms of what we've seen the most recent years, but you talk about a guy with longevity who, over the course of his career, is a 4-time Pro Bowler. Zeke has now done it twice. Like, there's still upside for some of those elite physical guys, right? But we see it in other sports, where, and even in football, where Tom Brady, obviously the quarterback position is very different from the running back position. But how much do you think that the way guys train and take care of their bodies now can add to the productivity and the career span of a position like running back?
I don't think there's any question that it can enhance it, without a doubt. And you're right on the right track. It's much different. Again, look, I played in the 90s, and in the entire decade of the 90s. There's so many things that are different now as far as the information that players have at their disposal in terms of nutrition, rest, recuperation, rehabilitation methods they're all just totally different. They've all gone up, exponentially in terms of what guys have at their disposal and what they can utilize in order to extend their careers. And I think that's going to be across the board, provided that you don't, experience some kind of catastrophic injury. I think you will see players playing much longer if they want to. Now, the flip side of that are these voluntary retirements that you see happening where guys are kind of calling it quits earlier, and that's because of the fact that they're making more money now earlier in their career than they ever did. I'm embarrassed to even say what I made my first couple of years in the NFL. I needed to play forever. I had to play 10 years to make what guys are making in 1 year now. But there's a lot of things that are going to affect player career longevity other than just their health overall. But I think you're on the right track. There's no question. Look, players are just conditioned differently. Yeah. You see the way they're put together. Guys are bigger, stronger, and faster than they ever were before.
If anything now, Monica and Lewis, players are more conditioned to make sure that they'll be able to walk after their playing careers are over. Look at Joe Thomas, where he played at 300, 305 pounds. The minute he retired, man, he just went to Slim Shady. He went to about 230, 235. One of my friends, and Lewis, you know him as well, Mark Schlereth, he had so many surgeries on his knees because he played at close to 300 pounds at Denver Broncos. The minute that he retired, Mark Schlereth was like the after picture, the before picture. The before picture wasn't that bad playing in the NFL. Guys are more cognizant more than ever before, not just making sure their minds and bodies are right in the NFL, but making sure their minds and bodies are going to be right when the NFL career is over. They'd rather leave a year too early than stay a year too late and have their quality of life clearly affected. We're seeing that a lot more than ever before.